Have you ever been in a relationship and you're like, this is actually a lot of work? This is a lot of work to be in a relationship. And sometimes you may think, well, I'm probably better off being single because being in this relationship is not easy. It's just simply not easy. And I'm here to tell you, you're right. You are absolutely right. Being in a relationship is a lot harder than being single. And we can put that up for debate. I can put that up for debate. And you guys put in the comments right now, which one do y'all think is harder, being single or being in a relationship? And I have a theory that I want to throw out and share with you guys as to why being in a relationship, and I'm gonna put this out there, disclaimer, a committed relationship, a faithful relationship. It's harder to be in a committed, faithful relationship. And it's sad to have to put that, when we talk about relationships, I have to put that out there because some folks, are in relationships, but not, not faithful, not committed and all that stuff. Like that may be easy because now you have your cake and you're trying to eat it too, or whatever it may be. But talking about healthy, committed, faithful relationships that's built on godly principles, right? So when we talk about being single and being in relationships, sometimes we're like, okay, well, being single, I was being single, I was dating, and the dating pool was trash, and I finally found somebody, and now I'm thinking like, okay, well, why is all this harder when I actually went through like the single phase was hard, like, seeing everybody else get married or seeing everybody else in relationships or seeing everybody else have fun with their partner. The Valentine's days are lonely, the holidays are lonely. You went through the dating phase and you was on all these apps and you was talking to all these people, and now you're like, okay, well, I found the one and I'm trying to settle down. But you realize that being in a relationship is a lot harder than being single. Now, there's a couple things you have to think about and a couple things you have to anticipate. And this is for folks who are single as well too, that's looking to get into a relationship. Just know that when you get into a relationship, it's not going to be probably what you thought it was going to be. It's not going to be that easy flowing you thought it was going to be because, again, you thought you did the work on the back end and now I can reap, the fruits of my labor. You are receiving the fruits of your labor as being in a relationship, but understand that there's a couple things you have to realize. There's a couple things you have to realize when it comes to the singleness, the dating phase, and relationship. Now, when you're single versus being in a relationship, you have to understand that the commitment level is a lot different. And the commitment level is a lot different because when you're in a relationship, you are making a promise to each other that, hey, I'm going to be with you, you're going to be with me, and we're going to try to build ourselves to work up to being married. Typically, that's should be the plan. But when you're single, you don't have any commitment to anybody. You don't have that, okay, day in, day out, I'm with you, we're going to work through issues. When you're single, you don't even really have to, you're not really obligated to trying to work things out. Now it's good practice, but there really isn't no like obligation there. And when you're single, you don't have to take a lot of, as much consideration, Now, I want to transition into the dating phase. Now, the dating phase, I would say, is a lot more difficult than the single because now you're trying to find somebody. Now you're trying to be with somebody. Now you're trying to work your way up to relationships. Now, with the dating phase, I feel like the dating phase, I know a lot of people say it's trash and, certain cities you may live in, you're like, oh, well, it's whack here and I don't, I can't find anybody. But all in all, when you are trying to date somebody, it can be tricky, right? Because I'm gonna be real, a lot of folks, you may have that singleness, but like that relationship type of vibe. It's like, okay, well, I'm dating you, but are we exclusively dating? Meaning that, hey, I'm dating to get to know me and you, but we haven't made things official yet, right? So that's kind of like a confusing phase. It's like, okay, well, if I talk to somebody else, is that considered cheating? Or if you go talk to somebody else, is that cheating? Or does that make us into the relationship if we're just in this dating phase? Now, this part I would say is a lot harder than the singleness, again, because you're trying to make an attempt to date. You're trying to make an attempt to talk to somebody now, or get to the point where you're in a relationship with somebody. Now, when it comes down to the dating phase, you and the person you're with have to be really, really firm in your communication, which makes it difficult. It can be very difficult because it's like, okay, well, we're not official, but then we make this commitment that we're exclusively dating. I know y'all know what I'm talking about because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that's done it before because I've done it in the past already too. I've done it before where I'm like, hey, we're exclusively dating, but we're not in a relationship. So the hard part is like, hey, now we've made a commitment. And the reason why I say, and not saying I don't want to disregard and say not being single is like super easy and super lax, or dating is super easy and super lax. They have their differences and their complexity and how difficult it may be. But when you're in a relationship, there's that level of commitment with somebody changes the whole dynamic, in my opinion. When you're in a relationship and you have to resolve things, you have to go through problem solving. There may be things in the relationship that you have to go through in order to get to that next level of being married. Now, I would say being in a relationship is a beautiful thing. Being in relationships, being married, all those are beautiful things. And the reason why I really just want to put it out there that relationships are difficult because of that level of commitment, because of that the things you have to break within yourself in order to become, the husband or become the wife before you actually get married. Because that's what I believe as well too, is that if you're in a relationship, there should be some type of preparation for marriage. There should be, I'm preparing to be your husband. I'm preparing to be your wife. Because if you're in a relationship and that's not like the end goal, especially if you're in a relationship that is foundationally, you putting God at the foundation, it's really hard to say what's the point of the relationship. What is the end goal, right? And I think there's a lot of time where we get confused. A lot of people get confused. Is like, okay, the question is, okay, what are we doing? What are we? Because initially you can start off like, oh no, I'm not trying to look for anything serious. We don't have to get married. But then what happens over time? Feelings happen. Things happen. You start to realize that, hey, I actually maybe want a little bit more than what I was initially thinking, right? So thinking about how hard relationships can be, but they don't always have to be so hard either. And I'm gonna say this much as well too, like they don't have to be as hard as you may think they are. You may be going through certain things where you may have to work on your communication. You may be going through things where you have to understand that, okay, well, it's not all about me anymore. It's about somebody else. But when it becomes hard is when you're not willing to make those sacrifices. And over time, and as you continue to be in relationships, and if you get to the point of being married, you're going to always realize that, yeah, things are hard because I have to make sacrifices, right? But sometimes when you make sacrifices, you always have to think about, why am I making this sacrifice, right? So when I make sacrifices for my fiance, one of the things I have to recognize is like, oh, I really want to be with this woman for the rest of my life. I value her as a woman. I value everything that she encompasses. I value everything that she's bringing for me in my life. So I cannot put myself in a position where I'm going to mess this up. And relationships do become hard when you don't see the value in it. When you don't see the value in actually being committed. We don't see the value in pouring into somebody else. We don't see the value in making sacrifices to make it work. And at that point, I always recommend that, hey, maybe you have to have an honest conversation with yourself and be like, okay, well, maybe I'm not the relationship type. There's no condemning or anything like that, especially when we talk about like biblical senses where, okay, if I don't get married, like I'm going to hell or anything like that. God does want us to procreate. God does want us to have healthy families, things of that nature. But if you feel as if relationships, as far as romantic relationships, may not be for you, or you're not in that season, don't force it. Don't force to be in a relationship, and don't force yourself to be somebody that you're not ready to be. Because again, relationships are hard. Relationships do take time. They do take effort. They do take sacrifice. They take grit. You know what I mean? It takes grit to actually be in a healthy relationship. So if you're not ready to do the work, it's okay. It's no shame. I don't care if you're 24 years old or you're 64 years old. If you're not ready to be in a relationship, be honest with yourself so you don't waste that much time for yourself, but also for the person that you're with as well too. And just know, being in relationships, it is very difficult, but it can be very beautiful at the same time. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Check out some of these other videos here. Y'all take care of yourself and take care of each other. Peace.